Hi and good morning. Grand Rising. I'm used to saying good morning, and then I found out like what it meant, and I was like, ugh. Now to start my day over, I'm using Grand Rising. I'm allowing it to be my new setting. I want to start my day over. Oh me, oh my. So I pulled out some cards right now. I'm not sure which cards they are, but I think I'm going to be on here a short period today. Yesterday, I was at the Magic Market in LA, and I had a marvelous time. I met a lot of new people, and everybody is just so kind, and it's been such a beautiful experience for me. And thanks to Val, Yamada.Val, I'm included in these experiences, and I'm really excited and grateful. So today, maybe what I'll do, since we're just kind of beginning right now, okay, is I know that all of us are wondering about the energy and like what the energy is going to be, or like what the circumstances are, or why is it so hard to make money, and blah, 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 right? And sitting still and getting aligned with what it is that you would like, that's how you're going to find out whether or not it's for you, okay? And a lot of times we don't do that. A lot of times we think that by doing we will receive, and sometimes that is the pattern that prevents us from receiving what we're asking for. It might bring us small bits and pieces of where we would like to be, but it's not going to be the whole aspect, because we're so nucleus in what we're asking. We're asking for a right now fix to a lifetime aspect. And the lifetime aspect is going through this right now fix. That's the lifetime aspect. The lifetime aspect right now, this particular moon, right? This Libra new moon, it's setting us up for like an 18-year cycle. All right. It's an air sign, goes with Aquarius, and there's so much balance and justice that's happening right now with Pluto staying in Capricorn and moving into Aquarius in November. Mars is another player right now. Mars is really, we're very emotional and moody right now. We're emotional and moody because Mars has a placement in Cancer. Cancer is about home, family, all that good stuff, how we feel in respect to that. And it's a water sign, okay? And it says, I feel. That's like their mantra, a Cancer. They're connected to the moon. The moon changes positions. That's their planet. The ruling planet of a Cancer is the moon. And the moon changes position about every 2.5 to 3 days. So the mood of the individual, or the way that they see things or feel about things, changes about every 2.5 to 3 days. They will do their best as that particular representation of a zodiac sign, and their work is to balance that out and come into harmony with their spirituality. Okay, Mars is stationed right now in Cancer, so visiting from Aries, it's home, right? It's 3 away, okay, and it's the last of the 4-piece element cycle in the quarter. All right. In that, we have Mars. I'm going to look up Mars right now, because Mars is going to be in Cancer until November. So this is why it's so impactful right now. Okay. Until November 5th. Okay. So right now you could say that the fire is more like steam. Okay. It's boiling something. It's boiling our emotions, our beliefs. It's really setting us up to divorce ourselves from things that no longer work for us. To really just say, oh, okay, I've tried this so many times. I'm going to let this version of this pattern go, and I'm going to be open to contrary action. What is my contrary action? And that becomes your friend right now. That's what Mars in Cancer is all about. Mars is all about action, but it's inspired action. It's very, it's fire energy for sure, but it's also sacred. It's sacred energy. So the sacred energy of you, it's the spiritual warrior representation. So it's your beliefs, it's how you feel about things, how you connect to who you are, especially in Cancer, because Cancer is our foundation. It's what our physical life really represents in many ways. Okay, so in that, where are you? Who do you perceive yourself to be? What parts of you, what bits and pieces of you are dissatisfied with? Are they a focus? If they're a focus, do you need to have that focus? Is that focus keeping you safe? Is it keeping you comfortable? Is it keeping you satisfied? Is it a vibration you want to continue to experience and focus on? Those are questions that you can ask yourself to put yourself back in the driver's seat, okay, of your experience, rather than being scattered into many different things, like throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping one of the noodles sticks so that you know it's done, right? And it isn't that. It isn't that. It's very difficult because we're doers. We're raised as doers. We do. And that could be translated in many different things. But for now, the doing is what prevents us from being. When we are in action and effort, we're not in receiving and allowance. And it's an opposite energy to work with, an opposite energy. So you have to sit still. You have to sit still to receive. You have to know that you have to sit still. A lot of times it's like, well, but if I work 40 hours at the end of the week, I get that paycheck. Sit still. Sit still. Those are tasks. You're not doing anything. You're not trying to shift things out of your way. You're not trying to get anywhere. And that's already money in your pockets. You can let go of that. That's there, right? And you've already done the environmental thing for yourself in the doing and the being. So it's already in a pattern of prosperity and receipt. So you don't have to focus on that. Now sit still. Sit still and be with who you are. When you can be with who you are, you can decide better what the situation allows you as far as choice that makes you feel a certain way to move into another choice. That vibration is going to bring you what you're asking for, depending on where you're at. If you're dissatisfied and you're manifesting from a dissatisfied point, whatever you manifest is going to be dissatisfying. So you got to check your vibe. You really have to check your vibe in order for things to work for you. Whatever story you're telling, if it's in limitation, I've been doing really good, but, all right, then you're fucking yourself, basically. And that's what's happening. So it isn't about changing the story. It's about understanding the story and recognizing where you can reconcile yourself to actual, like who you are in that moment, right? And then say, oh, okay, so I'm here. Where would I like to be? What would I like to feel instead? And then take yourself into that space. Stay in that space as often as possible. Try to hit a sustain to where like you do and be things that allow you to give yourself permission to feel a certain way. More opportunity in that vibe is going to show up for you. And that's where you're happiest. That's where you're happiest. That's where you will make the most money. It's where you're going to make those better connections. It's not going to be in strife. It's not going to be in dissatisfaction. It's going to be in the vibe that you're creating. So the vibe doesn't necessarily have to be attached to what you want to result. Okay? And it's even better if it's not. If you can just find the vibe before you introduce an ask, that would be better for you. So meditating, doing gratitude practices, and I have a bunch of them, but that would be a way for you to defocus on things that are trying to draw your energy from you, right? Digital media, different things like that, like this, okay? Another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, okay, because November is a really boon month for us, but as of is it a Tuesday? So it's a Tuesday, it's a 5th, right? That Mars will go into Leo. When Mars goes into Leo, it goes into its brother aspect, okay, of a very grown up energy, right? Now all of a sudden it's on fire. It's going to propel you in a different way. And this energy is something that you can harness and use. If you can allow yourself to sit still and feel into the energy, because that's what this particular movement of planets is all about. Moving into Aquarius, people think that we're going to get all into our heads, and you can't get into your head any longer. Now what you have to do is get into your body. That's what Aquarius is forcing. Aquarius is forcing that because we need to bring the riches of who we are through into the physical aspect so that we can have that experience. So that way, the as above that we think about that's so awesome, that we feel is untouchable, results in that so below, and we experience it. And we are the masters of that experience. If we're telling a story where it's not so good this way, it's not so good this way, we are not going to have a good so anything. We're going to have a not so good and a not so good, because we're saying that. We're believing that. We're believing that's what's taking place. There's so much distraction right now. So much distraction from who you are. Find out who you are and be that. That's the best. Okay? All right. So let's see. Some of the transits today, we're in lovely October. Today is the 7th. Moon Day, Monday. Tonight we have a talk. The moon is in Sag right now too. So you have 2 fire signs going on in the moon right now, right? So there's a lot of inspired action or questions of your actions that are coming through. So sit back, answer the questions for yourself, see whether or not they help, right? But that's what we're being asked right now. Also, you have a lot of people talking in the sky to one another. Some that are in retrograde are really going over our constructs and structure. With Saturn in Neptune in Pisces, you have our belief system and our subconscious coming into an understanding and opening. All right. And then you have Pluto, another water planet inside of Capricorn, who's ruled by Saturn. Keep that in mind. All right. And now Pluto is in there going in a deep dive, right? Oh, Lord, it's muddy as hell. Okay. All right. We might find ourselves doing things like, oh, I thought it was like this. Oh, it's like this. And that's actual. That's like exactly what's supposed to take place right now. As far as predictive patterns go, right? Because I see a question, all right? That particular question, yeah, of course. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we could do that. All right. So I pulled 4 cards. Okay, so what holds us back is that we're trapped in fear, and it is a very mental state. So it's like the 8 of Swords. In that 8 of Swords, you may feel like you're surrounded by other people's ideas, and you are to a certain degree, right? Only if you're in the middle of their shit. Okay, so that's why sit still, being your own stuff. Now, if you feel trapped, if you feel like you're not getting anywhere, it's your stuff. You can work through that. That's how you do it. You don't go into a comparative over who has what. You go into you, and that's going to help you. But that's the trapped by fear, okay? All right, that's like where we're at right now. That's how we're feeling, okay? And the prisons are of our own making. It's the story that we're telling ourselves, and that is the result we're living. How to get out of those loops and patterns and physicals that we've created from those stories. That's the trick. That's the trick. So you have to let go of the story, be okay with the story that you've been telling, and say, okay, I bless that story. That's what that story brought about. What kind of experience would I like to have, right? So right now we are in a recognition phase, and it is actionable. So a lot of travel amongst the stars in the transits. The way that they're coming through is that we're being asked and channeled information to behave and be better individuals. That is the inspired action the Holy Trinity, the three, whatever, as above, so below in you, right? So recognition and reward. In order to get that recognition and reward, we're going to have to go into our spiritual lesson of Libra, which is balance. All right. And this is also going to be justice. So for a lot of us, maybe contracts, leases, things like that are coming up. In those, really give yourself some space. Do your best to kind of maybe not commit to a lot. All right. Maybe not commit to a lot. And the minimal that you could do is going to make you feel better because it won't put so much on your plate. And that's very important right now. So we're in this balance, okay? And this is sort of representational of our spiritual node that we're in right now. Our spiritual node is, our opposition is Libra. We're in Aries. So Aries will retard through or retro through the wheel for 18 months. And in that 18-month cycle, we're going to go from 29 degrees to 0 degrees. That's our spirituality. It's our mean node. It's our moon. Okay, so the moon is going to go through the cycle backwards for 1.5 years till it gets to the next cycle, which is going to be Pisces, because it goes backwards through the wheel. All right. The gates for the eclipse season are measured in those oppositions. So you have Libra and you have Aries right now who are in opposition. That's why the gates are the way that they are. The eclipse seasons changes the change. Okay. And if you'll notice that this last eclipse, it really enlightened us. That's what it did. It enlightened us. It shed light into shadow that we weren't prepared for. Yet now we know. It's an in your face. Now you know. And how do you feel? So if you are trying to push an old agenda, you're trying to push an old way or traditional way of doing something that's been done in this new paradigm of what the United States has built, okay, in this almost 300-year cycle, right, or 250-year cycle that they've built, okay? Mostly what that looks like is strife, okay? And people had an idea how to put other people to work because they didn't want to work. None of us really want to work. That's like the mantra. And we don't have to call it work. We can call it other things. There's lots of different things that you could do to support yourself, okay? But because the way the country was founded in this aspect, right, what's going to happen is that it's got to crumble because it wasn't built foundationally for the masses. And there's more of us than there are of the way that it was built. And in that aspect, how can we show up? How can we show up? We have all this information as to how this country came about. How can we show up now, right? Can we show up with kindness? Can we show up with love? Can we show up with respect? Can we honor those whose land we are using, right? And they don't even claim it's their land. They claim that they are the keepers of that land because nothing belongs to us. Not one fucking thing. That's all physical. We get to use the physical for the duration that our spirit or soul is here. And then after that, we're not here anymore. So we don't have the physical aspects any longer. So really think about that. Think about what you're working for. Think about what you're doing. Think about all that stuff. And then think about what's important to you. What's important to you? Like, how could you provide the lifestyle that you would like in a different way? A way that's going to feed your heart, feed your mind, feed your experience with the beauty that you are, the love that you are, the authenticity that you seek, right? That's situational. Everything has been situational in this little reading, right? The fear, that's natural, but it's a story, so it's a mind game. And it's something that we're naturally going to break because it's an 8. So that's part of our karmic debt, right? We're going to let go of that. We have to work through it. We have to realize who it is that we are in those situations, the kind of story that we want to tell about ourselves. I talk a lot about story because we say about 60,000 words to ourselves every day. That's a story. That's a novel. So What that's going to do is it's going to suggest situationally that we can come into harmony. Okay, the male and the female divine can come into that harmony, spiritual union. All right, and this again is situational. Okay, that means that the harmony isn't going to necessarily be sustained. All right, and fear may come in to take it away. But where are you at with your fear? How can you make your experience more acceptable to you? What you're not only experiencing, but who it is that you're experiencing it with, right? These things can allow you to better equip yourself for what it is that you would like to experience. And analyzing, right? Analyzing, borrowing a little bit from Virgo energy, right? Virgo energy is very analytical. It's very, I want to see like how this is built. I want to see how this works. Let's see if the foundation's right. It's a very good energy, right? So when you're working with that particular energy and you're seeing, right, what's happening around you, right, you can become like the observer and decide where you want to put your energy. All right. And it's very important that we do that right now. We are at a space where all the adversity that we have experienced can be accepted. Like it can be accepted. We can accept it. That may not sound advantageous. It may not even sound like a good idea to you. Yet, it's a surrender to what is. When you surrender to what is, everything can change because you let go of what you're focusing on. You're like, oh, this is what it is. And you get that relief, that release. When we're in the middle of a situation, we're continuing to manifest in that situation. We continue doing things like, oh, I want it like this. I'd like it like that. Oh, maybe I'll have this, blah, blah, blah. All right. It's when you sit still and you realize that you've created a situation and this is what it is. You reconcile yourself to this is what it is. And you take like a break. And then you say, well, what would I like after the break? And it will get easier. It will get easier. And these are really good practices. They're my practices. They work for me. They work for countless other people that I talk to when I share them. And I have long-term students and I have long-term friends that apply this particular knowledge to their lives, and they're very successful in what it is that they do, right? And what they feel and what they be, what their choices are. A lot of it has to do with an understanding that you are the orchestrator of your narrative. Just because somebody cut you off, that doesn't mean that something was done to you, right? But your perception of that experience is your truth. And you're going to speak your truth in that form to yourself, whatever that form is. If it is a negative connotation, nuance, then you're going to go into that particular vibrational offering. We vibe with what we say in our head and what we feel in our heart. So if you're telling a story of yourself or of somebody else and it has a negative connotation, you are putting your vibration into that sequence. You are literally changing your vibration from supposition, possibility, probability into a negative offering. That's going to be a slower vibration. The waves are slightly distorted in a negative vibration. How do you know it's negative? How do you know it's negative? Isn't that a great question? Right? Does it make you feel good? Because that's your measurement. That's your comparative. Do I feel good saying this? Do I feel good thinking this? Right? You need to ask your body because your body stores all the bullshit in your head. Is it okay if I have this story? Maybe your body has something to say about it. Maybe your body will be like, maybe you could choose the pink one. Okay? Listen to you. You are your authority because you are your perception and that is your truth. And in that, you can decipher the world it can be very beautiful for you in those aspects. All right. Okay, let's pull 2 cards. All right, for what would we like? Okay, great. Okay, so they gave me that it'd be good for us to meditate in a way to where whatever is occurring in our lives, that this is what we would like the answers and solutions for. Okay, so if you find yourself stuck, all right, what I would like for you to do is choose some music from YouTube, any music from YouTube that has a meditation flow, something that allows you to feel relaxed and allows you to go into your body. Okay, any music that makes you feel that way. You can find Reiki music, you can find binaural beats, you can find solfeggio tones. There's so much to choose from. Make sure it's at least 10 minutes long. All right, and when you play it, it doesn't feel like it's distorting your field or creating dissonance to you. Okay, the next thing that you'll do in those 10 minutes after you choose your music and you start playing it, you let that frequency begin to work miracles in your cellular memory, and it will shift and move and shift and move. While you're doing that, start writing down the experience that you're in. Okay, the one that you feel like you're holding on to that isn't doing great things for you, the story, right? Just write the story down. Okay, and after you write down you're reconciled, this is what it is, write down what would you like? What would you like for it to be? I know you're in that story, but what would you like for it to be? And write that down. And in 10 minutes, you will have shifted your mindset and your vibration from a space of limitation into a space of allowance. And it's merely taking a physical aspect, which is you, connecting it to your mind and your body, all right, and allowing you to vibrate in one aspect rather than many dissonant aspects. And it will work. It's a really good exercise. Okay, so for that, we're going to pull 2 cards. The 2 cards are going to give us, they're telling me it's going to give us like subjects or solutions or ways to think about it when we go in there. Okay, so the first card, oh, okay, spiritual lessons. Oh, the waiting game. Oh, okay, great. Okay, so the waiting game, this is 2 of Swords. Okay, 2 of Swords is a waiting game. That's the timing of it, all right? But that's very situational. That means practice, practice, practice. It takes practice. It isn't something that you get right away, all right? This is an exercise, so you practice. So the 2 of Swords, right, or the 2 of Cups, this is about you understanding that you're telling a story that's not serving you in the best possible way, all right? And you're waiting for things to change, but the story hasn't changed, all right? The spiritual lesson of the exercise that I gave you is hope, all right? This is the Sun card, all right? So hope allows you to become who you are. It is how you connect to your inner light and express the beauty of you, okay? I couldn't have picked 2 better cards for this particular exercise. What I'd like you to do is go ahead and practice the exercise. I hope that you guys have a great day. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Many, many blessings. Now I'm going to look over here where it is.